Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend DG Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Jerry Conway, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Evolutionary War continues on. All right, kids. Yes. Welcome back to part 3 of our Evolutionary War crossover event. Only here on Marvel Tales. I am Phil. Joining me, as always, the man himself. Wow.
The High Evolutionary.
Yes.
Justin the Owl stepping back out of the evolutionary vat to speak about the Evolutionary War with Phil.
Nice. Yes, that's right. So this time we're going to talk Amazing Spider-Man Annual 22, Fantastic Four Annual 21, and the Elf Annual. What?
What?
That's right, kids. I threw it in. Go ahead, throw it in. Oh, Lord. Russell's there already.
O-ring, yeah.
That O better stand for ow, you fool.
I was waiting for it.
I think he just sits there and waits for his chance.
Yeah.
Just sit there with his O-ring. All right. So, yeah, part 3 of the Evolutionary War.
Yes.
As I was just telling Justin, I did search and I did manage to, I read the few pages of the Evolutionary War with the High Evolutionary from the Elf Annual. I think it is the first annual. Did he get more than one?
I think it's the first one.
Yeah. But the Evolutionary, because I was looking, I'm like, I was surprised. I forgot because I forgot how long I read that as a kid, but like Elf got 50 issues.
I know that went on for a long time. Yeah. Yeah. And then it had that controversial cover with the seal that lives forever in infamy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of stuff happened with Alf. Yeah, that went on for a bit.
I mean,
I wonder if they'll ever do an omnibus of Alf.
Well, they probably don't have the rights right now. So
That's true. That's probably tied up somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, we could always cover that someday, and it was Marvel.
That's true. It counts.
Good Lord, I mean that's an impressive issue count for like a TV tie-in thing.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm very impressed with that.
Probably the only ones who kind of match that are what Transformers, G.I. Joe.
I think that Barbie comic book went on for quite a bit too. Really? I remember being surprised by that continued, and it had a spin-off too. There were like 2 Barbie comic books for a while. I was like, what's going on here? Wow.
Oh my.
I think Lilith was a fan of those, wasn't she? Maybe she remembers how far they went.
I was gonna say, we'll have to ask her because I know she is a big doll collector.
Yeah, for a while I remember they had 2 Barbie comics a month. I was like, wow.
Yes, kids, hard as it is to believe, Lilith does act like a girl sometimes. I mean, I still find it hard to believe. In high school, she said she was a cheerleader.
Cheerleader, yes. And we need to see pictures of this at some point.
I know. I keep begging her.
Yeah.
I saw Spider-Verse too, Russell.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Did you saw that today too?
I saw it yesterday. No, it was good. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that one.
The first one and then that one. That's like I think my son's favorite superhero stuff to watch.
Nice.
I was the only one in the theater laughing at Ben Reilly. Oh man, they really punked Ben Reilly in that. Okay.
Oh, did they? Oh.
Yeah.
What about Miguel? What about Miguel O'Hara?
He's all right. He's kind of intense.
Intense. Okay.
Yeah. It's basically like the cop. He's like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes,
Oh. Yeah.
Again, we'll have the review up here soon. We're recording it tomorrow, so but yeah.
Nice.
What I love, we're sitting in the theater. I told my son it was going to be continued, and then when they ended it, my son's like, "Oh, come on!" Justin will think Miguel was a biscuit.
Oh, really? Okay. Now I want to see it even more.
Oh my!
I don't care if it's animated; it still counts.
Oh my! He's got this whole sexy voice thing going. I mean, it is Oscar Isaac, right? So it's a.
Oh, is it? Oh, well,
I
there we
think
go.
it is.
Yeah, I love his voice.
Just double checking. Yeah. Oscar Isaac is doing.
Oh, perfect.
I thought it. Yeah. So.
Love it.
So.
I'm sold.
Close your eyes if you want, Justin.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
All right. Well, let's get into this Evolutionary War stuff. But yeah, I'll throw out the elf stuff first. Okay, so it was only in a few pages. Because there's a couple stories in an annual. Like one of the stories, like Elf goes to summer camp with the son. Was it Brian that the family he's living with?
Yeah.
And the High Evolutionary appears to him, and he's like, I got to. He was up. Elf was up to something. He's like, I don't have time to talk. And the High Evolutionary is like, I'll appear to you in like 2 days or something, which he does in like the next story. And the High Evolutionary wants to know what a Melmacian's doing on Earth, and Elf explains to him like how his planet got this, blew up and stuff. And it's funny. The High Evolutionary goes, sounds like that Phoenix woman again. And Elf's like, no, I never heard of her. No, it doesn't sound familiar. So no, basically the High Evolutionary is just like, don't interfere, and I have no problem with you staying on Earth as long as you don't interfere with the human race's evolution and stuff, and basically threatening him and warning him.
Mm-hmm.
But then they kind of play it where, did it happen or is it just a dream? Because Elf kind of wakes up at the end and he's like, oh, that's the last time I read. What was it, like 13 Marvel annuals before I go to bed? And he's always like laying on a pal every issue of the Evolutionary War. So
he was reading the whole thing.
Basically, Marvel advertising and be saying, "Hey, this High Evolutionary? Yeah, go check him out. He's big this year.
Check out this massive crossover we're doing." I love it. That's great.
I think it kind of worked because I think I read the Elf annual before I read any of those. I was like, "Ooh, who is this?"
That is so funny. I wonder if they put that, because they did an Evolutionary War omnibus a few years ago. I wonder if they put those pages from that in there.
I wonder again, just because like we were saying before, I wonder who has the rights to Elf. I wonder.
Yeah. I think they put the What If issue in that omnibus.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that in 2 weeks, kids. Yeah.
Love that one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's like in the one annual. Might be one of the ones for next episode where they mentioned the bomb. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that bomb from the last. From the what if? Yeah.
Yeah, that will be in the next episode. Yeah, the last one actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look up the Evolutionary War omnibus here. There we go.
Yeah, that has to be huge. That omnibus.
Oh, the hardcover is $75. Trying to see if it. Well, I was looking on Amazon, but I was trying to see if it. I don't know if it gives you an episode list here. Every link I hit keeps bringing me back to Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Lilith. They're taking over.
They're listening to everything.
Oh no! I looked on the Marvel database. It doesn't even list it.
No kidding.
On the list, so yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Guess maybe it was an unofficial tie-in, maybe. Oh wait, there's one on. There's one on eBay. Whoa. The hardcover. Oh my god! You try to buy it. Why is it more expensive on eBay? It's like $219. Somebody.
It didn't have different covers, did it? I wonder if it's a different.
I don't think. I mean, unless it's just somebody trying to scam some rubes or something. I don't know.
That could be. Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
the elf issue isn't in it because like he has a shot of the back on it. It shows like all the covers on the back, and I don't see the elf cover on there.
Yeah, they probably cut that out of there. Yeah, but it would be funny if they did add it. It would be hilarious if they did add that.
Oh yeah, but like I said, I wonder who has the rights to Elf. Is it that was NBC? So was it like NBC?
Yeah,
NBC has the rights, or
yeah,
Universal, or somebody?
Yeah, it's probably Universal because I think they own part of NBC or something. Yeah.
So that was basically the whole thing. It's like, did the High Evolutionary come and threaten Elf, or what? Did he just have a bad dream? He read every Evolutionary War annual in one sitting.
That might do it, actually.
Oh yeah. All right. So should we get to the other two issues?
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 22.
Yes. All right. So yeah, I mean, the first couple weren't bad, but I like, as we've been reading, like I read part 3 for this week and next week already. I'm enjoying them more now. I'm like, man,
it definitely gets a lot better. Yeah,
they keep rolling down, and now they're rolling.
Yeah, it makes a little bit more sense as we go along. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So, we're gonna have to address too that the Amazing Spider-Man annual comes before the Fantastic Four annual, but the Fantastic Four annual had the High Evolutionary backup, the one before the Amazing Spider-Man annual.
Yeah.
Swap those. So,
whoops.
Oops.
That was a little confusing as a kid too, reading that. I was like, what? What's going on here?
Because if you read the Amazing Spider-Man one first, you're like, where did the High Evolutionary get his armor from?
Yeah.
All right. So the first one this week, like we said, is Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 22. Oh, the Marvel database puts this between Amazing Spider-Man 304 and 305. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Drug War rages. Writers Tom DeFalco and David Michelini. Penciler Mark Bagley. Yes. Inker Mike Esposito. Colors Bob Sharon. Letterer Rick Parker. And editor Jim Salicrup. At a warehouse on the Hudson River, mobsters are reading the latest edition of the Daily Bugle, which has a front page story about the ongoing drug war in New York City. This has been caused by the supply of drugs being cut off. The leader of this group is happy that they stocked up just before this happened. However, they are interrupted by the arrival of Spider-Man, who has come to bust up this operation. The wall crawler easily trounces the drug dealers and snaps some photos to sell to the Daily Bugle. With his job done, Spider-Man finds a local beat cop and tells him where he can find the drug dealers. Spider-Man swings off to develop his photos so he can finally go home and spend time with his wife.
Back when they were married.
Yes. Remember, Zeb Wells is the devil. All right.
Never forget.
Never forget. Well, I think you could. All right. Meanwhile, on Broadway, Robbie Baldwin is on Broadway with his mother, Madeline Naylor, to see some shows. When a man rushes past Robbie, he shies away from the man, making his mother wonder why her son is afraid of being touched. Back at the warehouse, Split-Face Flanagan and his gang arrive on a tip and take advantage of the fact that they have access to the drugs left behind for the police. Yeah, that's some street name.
Split-Face, yeah. Hey, how'd you get that name, Split-Face?
Sounds like someone wanted to be someone's popular villain, Two-Face.
Batman. My favorite character.
Chances never zero, right? He's like, it's all really like 15 minutes in. Later that evening, Peter returns home to his condo in Bedford Towers.
Bedford Towers.
That he shares with his wife, Mary Jane. Mary Jane rushes into his arms. She has been worried about him all night. When he tells her that he busted up a drug operation on the pier, Mary Jane was afraid of this and shows him a news report about how the crooks that Spider-Man webbed up were murdered, and the police are now looking to arrest the hero. when the news hits the front page of the Daily Bugle the next day, the story is read by Matt Murdock at his legal clinic in Hell's Kitchen. He can't believe that Spider-Man would have committed murder and vows to learn the truth either as Matt Murdock or Daredevil. At that moment, at the Daily Bugle, Peter Parker stops by Ben Urich's desk to see if there is anything more about the front page story. Unfortunately, Ben doesn't have any more information. That's when J. Jonah Jameson enters the room and is delighted to see Parker. He tells him that the photos he turned in the night before help prove that Spider-Man is the menace Jameson has claimed for years. Jameson decides to give Peter a bonus and gives him a cigar that he brought in from Pittsburgh. Oh, yes, kids, we're known for
much to Ben's amusement. He starts laughing.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow, with the skyscraper, I love how Jameson's like, I'll give you a bonus again, and Peter's like, again? Like, since when was the first time? While at the skyscraper headquarters of the Kingpin, the crime lord goes over the disturbing news out of South America. A group of individuals in high-tech armor calling themselves the Purifiers have destroyed the drug supply down there, affecting the drug trade in the city. Remember, kids, from our first episode, the Punisher Annual? So,
yep, going after the drugs.
Editor's note, Punisher Annual 1. He then shows them a photo of a similarly dressed individual flying over New York City. The Kingpin orders them to prevent the Purifiers from causing further damage to his business. That evening, Spider-Man returns to the warehouse to search for clues as to who was responsible for murdering the drug dealers. As soon as he arrives, Spider-Man's spider sense warns him he is not alone. That's when Daredevil comes out of the shadows and announces his presence. Using his enhanced hearing to monitor the wall crawler's heartbeat, Daredevil confirms that Spider-Man is not lying when he vows that he didn't commit the murders. Daredevil believes him and offers to work with the wall crawler in order to clear his name. While back on Broadway, Robbie Baldwin and his mother have just finished attending another show. When his mother decides to go to an after party, Robbie decides to go back to their hotel room because he has a lot of thinking to do. At the Daily Bugle, J. Jonah Jameson gloats over the latest headline of his newspaper. That's when his city editor, Kate Cushing, comes in and tells him the opinion polls show the public supports Spider-Man. Apparently, the public likes the idea that Spider-Man eliminated some drug dealers, so they are sick of crime running rampant in the city.
That's right. Kill that scum.
Jameson is furious to learn this and demands they find a means to find Spider-Man innocent of the crime.
No, that's a switch.
I know. Meanwhile, Robbie is on his way back to the hotel, worrying about the accident that has made him paranoid of being touched. He's unaware that a gang of street thugs has made him their mark. However, when they shove Baldwin into an alley, they trigger his powers, turning him into the kinetically powered being known as Speedball. Although he doesn't have full control over his powers, Speedball manages to bound around the alley and knock out the thugs before escaping up to a rooftop. As he looks down on his attackers, he is shocked to see two Purifiers approach them. He watches in horror as the Purifiers kill the drug dealers. Knowing the police won't believe Robbie Baldwin's story, Speedball decides to hunt down the killers and bring them to justice as Speedball. While at a shady bar on the Lower East Side, Spider-Man and Daredevil bust up the place looking for answers as to who really murdered the drug dealers on the pier. The good old-fashioned, let's trash the bar and get some info.
That's right. Let's smash some faces.
Word of the two heroes' activities reached the Kingpin, but he is not interested in the doing of his foes. His men have captured one of the Purifiers on the street and been roughing him up in order to learn why they are eliminating drugs. Which seemed kind of weird to me, because even the Kingpin was like, oh, this armor is like as sophisticated as Iron Man. So I'm like, oh, why did Kingpin's men like capture this Purifier then if he has like Iron Man type armor?
Yeah, it seemed rather easy, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if we had mentioned, I have like a super powered assassin on the payroll, I'd get it, but it's just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we just rounded up this guy. It could have been like Spider-Man or Daredevil could have beat up this guy, and then the Kingpin goons rounded him up afterwards.
Or unless they found him when he took the armor off. I don't know, but
yeah, I know. And then that was another part I liked, because when they had him tied to the chair, the dude, he goes, "Why don't you go suck a peach, fat boy?" So to the Kingpin, and then the Kingpin picks him up and starts like pressing on his rib cage.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Uh,
wrong thing to say to Wilson Fisk. Yeah.
The comic code. I'm sure he meant to say suck on a peach. Yeah, I'm sure that's why he told him to suck on. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Uh,
edited for 1988.
exactly. The Kingpin then picks him up and crushes his body till the man passes out. The Kingpin expects the man to talk when he comes around again. While
If he comes around again.
Exactly. Well, at that moment, at a loft on 22nd Street, the Purifiers report back to their leader, the High Evolutionary. They inform him that they will be activating a device from the top of the Empire State Building that will render everyone in New York City unconscious so they can begin the sterilization process of undesirable genetics. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think you have such great role models there. Very Nazi-esque here, it sounds like.
Yeah. Master race stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I know. They're unaware that Speedball has been listening in from a window. Before he can do anything, the effect of his powers wears off, reverting him back to normal. Robbie tries to call the police, but just as expected, they don't believe his story. Once again, Robbie decides that it is up to him to stop this calamity from happening. At that moment, the Kingpin had finished beating answers out of the Purifier. He is intrigued by the High Evolutionary and his plans and decides to use it to his advantage. He tells the Arranger to have this information leaked to Spider-Man and Daredevil in a discreet manner. Meanwhile, Spider-Man and Daredevil have hit another dive bar and have another fight ahead of them. After beating the thugs in the bar, one of them decides to talk and feeds them a story about how the Purifiers are responsible and where they can be found. As the midnight hour draws near, Robbie Baldwin arrives at the Empire State Building and tries to build up the courage to do what needs to be done. Inside, the Purifiers prepare to activate their device when suddenly Spider-Man and Daredevil come crashing in. As they battle the Purifiers, Daredevil suspects that they have been set up as these are not ordinary criminals. As the battle rages on, Baldwin arrives at the top observation deck of the Empire State Building. There he spots a strange device emerging out of the top of the broadcast tower. Changing into Speedball again, Robbie tries to leap up to the device but overshoots his target. Inside, Spider-Man and Daredevil smash the Purifier's machine inside the building. While outside, Speedball crashes onto the device, ripping it off its moorings. Speedball rejoices that he saved the entire city, but then quickly realizes that he's going to fall to his death. However, before he can hit the ground, Speedball is snagged by a web and pulled up to safety. The two heroes ask him what he is doing. An embarrassed Speedball tells them how he got involved. Meanwhile, the Kingpin plans his next step. Knowing that Spider-Man and Daredevil might come after him when they figure out that he was behind the misinformation, he sends the Arranger and his men crashing in on Split-Face Flanagan's hideout and gives him a choice: confess to the murders on the pier or be eliminated. The next day, J. Jonah Jameson is not happy with having to publish a front-page story about Spider-Man's name being cleared. This brings joy to Peter Parker, who is passing by. On his way out, he almost bumps into Robbie Baldwin and his mother, who are looking for the Daily Bugle's theater critic. Peter is surprised when the young man recoils from their near collision, wondering why the kid was so afraid of bumping into someone. While back at the Kingpin's headquarters, the Ranger begins briefing his leader on the current status of the drug trade. However, the Kingpin has his mind on other things as he fears that things are going to change quite drastically in the near future, and for the first time in his life, the Kingpin is worried.
The High Evolutionary even has the Kingpin worried.
Yep.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I really love this one. I think this was the first time I saw Mark Bagley draw Spider-Man ever. I can't remember a time that he drew Spider-Man before this that I had read. But yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much. And the introduction of Speedball was great too. It was nice to have kind of a young superhero that was kind of like Spider-Man's age when he started out, like that same teenager age. Because I don't think we had a young superhero like that for a while. I think it had been a few years. So it was nice to see a new one for kind of like a new generation, because I was around that age when I was reading this. So that was cool. The Daredevil cameo, I kind of forgot about. To be honest with you, I forgot he was even in this, because I think the story kind of works with or without him. But it is cool that he's in this. I think my favorite part was the part when him and Spider-Man were beating up the Purifiers. I really like that part. There was some good action there.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember. There might be during Atlantis Attacks. There's, I think, next year the Daredevil annual Spider-Man guest stars. So like they did a lot of guest stars.
Yeah, they're switching back and forth. Yeah,
and at least we snuck Daredevil in because, like I said, he doesn't have a Evolutionary War annual. So
that's true. Yeah. There were we mentioned in the last episode, there were quite a few annuals that were missing from this, like Thor and all that stuff. But
because I mean, we'll get Steve Rogers in that Avengers annual, in the last episode. But it's like, yeah. So basically, like Tony Stark and Thor really don't make an appearance in this.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Which is weird because Thor's encountered the High Evolutionary before.
Yeah, and Iron Man was in the West Coast Avengers at this time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was he or was he? I know he leaves for a while.
Or maybe he had just left because that could have been right around Armor Wars.
Yeah,
first one.
Maybe, yeah. Because I know when he comes, what was it, like around 51 where he comes back and they're, I think Hank and Janet are like,
guy.
Hank and Janet are like, well, we know Tony Stark was Iron Man and he's not dead, so is this really, was this Tony Stark lying or is this Iron Man? They're like, yeah, of course it's Tony Stark lying.
Yeah. Is this Tony? Is this Jim? Is this a new guy? Who is this?
Yeah. But yeah, and again, Speedball. And again, we really didn't get his origin in this issue, did we? I mean, because there was a Speedball backup, but it wasn't like the origin.
I know. I'd forgotten about the backup too, and I thought, well, they probably put the origin in there, right? And I was mistaken. No, they didn't. I was trying to remember too after rereading this. Where did they publish his origin story?
I'm trying to remember. Did they do it in New Warriors, maybe, or
it might have been in that
wait. Did he have like a mini series or an ongoing? Because at the end of I think was it the backup story? They're like, oh, okay, we'll read about Rob and his family's continuing whatever in the pages of Speedball.
Or I think he did. It was a Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
Drawn one. Yeah. I might even have a couple of issues of that. So this was probably launching his debut series.
Yeah.
Right after this.
Yeah, it was probably like just like tickling ones like, oh, you want to know how this happened? Yeah, check out Speedball #1.
Yeah. Well, that's cool too. So that was another experiment that Marvel was doing with this, where they were not only doing this multi-annual crossover that summer, but they were also using it as a springboard to launch a brand new series with Speedball.
Well, I guess maybe because I don't know, maybe because Spider-Man's like the most well-known character at Marvel. But I'm like the Amazing Spider-Man annuals. They've done, they launched a few characters out of this. I mean, Speedball this time. A few years before this, Monica Rambeau's first appearance was in an Amazing Spider-Man annual.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I always forget that was an annual. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. It's cool how they do that. How they use the annuals for something momentous, like the introduction of a new character or something major happens, as we see in the Fantastic Four annual in the next one. There's quite a lot of kind of momentous things that happen.
Oh, yeah.
Not only for the Evolutionary War stuff, but for the Fantastic Four.
And I think I said it last time, but it's like, yeah, I love when they can like fit it in the continuity and it's not just like, oh, yeah, it's happening sometime around this time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it happens somewhere around there.
Exactly.
We can ballpark it.
All right. Okay. So I was going to say, should I go to the backup from the Fantastic Four annual of the High Evolutionary origin, and then we'll?
Yeah, that's how we'll have to do it. I guess
we'll do the Fantastic Four annual, then do the High Evolutionary origin from this Amazing Spider-Man annual.
Otherwise, we're going to get confused. Any first-time readers definitely confused at this point.
Oh my! I was looking at that Speedball backup story, which we don't have to cover, but it was I didn't even like glance at the credits. Written by Roger Stern and Steve Ditko.
Oh, Roger Stern wrote that. Yeah.
With Steve Ditko, yeah, and then Steve
Yeah.
Ditko did the pencils, yeah.
And Jackson Guise did the inks on Steve Ditko's pencils. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good little backup. I liked that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that. Yeah. I'd forgotten that Roger Stern wrote that. Good stuff.
I was gonna say that's an interview we need Roger Stern somewhere.
Yeah. Oh man.
So much Marvel and DC,
Marvel and DC.
Superman,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, I would love to talk to him just for like 2 hours just about Superman. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
I was gonna say more. I don't know if we can even make that happen, but there's more chance of that than talking to Ditko.
Well, we could try to get a Ouija board out and talk to
I
Ditko.
know. Even when he was alive, he really I don't think
he wouldn't have
either.
Yeah, he wouldn't have talked to anybody anyways. Yeah.
Stan really pissed him off.
Well, he was an oddball anyway.
Yeah. All right, here. Just trying to find the High Evolutionary story for the Fantastic Four annual. Oh, here we go. All right. So so we're jumping to the Fantastic Four annual, the High Evolutionary origin. Again, confusing. All right. So the High Evolutionary Chapter 5, Silver and Crimson. Herbert Wyndham is attacked by a werewolf out in the wilds of Wundagore Mountain. After a losing struggle, Wyndham is surprised when the werewolf suddenly bounds away. Confused at first, he realizes that the reason why the werewolf fled is because the sun is beginning to rise. Theorizing on what the creature's behaviors are like, Herbert heads back to his citadel of science. There he is handed a note by his group of loyal moloids. It is a letter from his colleague, Jonathan Drew, who informs him that with the loss of his wife, Miriam, he has decided to leave and return to the United States. And meanwhile, leave his daughter in suspended animation. I'm like...
Yeah, that's bad parenting, 101.
I know. I'm like, I get if you're pissed at the High Evolutionary, but I'm like, you're just going to leave your daughter?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised by that too.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that he just abandoned Jessica.
Yeah. While washing up and dealing with his wounds, Herbert realizes that with Jonathan gone and his daughter in stasis within the Citadel, he is literally alone up there. Realizing he needs a means of protecting himself, Herbert begins working on a suit of armor to protect himself. On the day it is completed, Herbert puts it on when suddenly he hears a howl from the werewolf. Rushing to another part of his facility, he sees the creature as attacked and is eating one of the moloids.
Poor moloid.
I know. Attacking the creature, the iron of Herbert's armor appears to cause the werewolf a great deal of harm because it's silver, kids. I love how he's like, he doesn't believe in the superstition, but he did still put a silver in the armor.
Yeah. Just in case, just in case.
When he tries to flee back outside, he closes the outer and inner doors, trapping the creature. Determined to learn the creature's secrets, Herbert then orders the moloids to tend to their fallen comrade's body. Oh God, it always gets me in comics. It's like, I've seen Spider-Man do this before too, but the High Evolutionary is literally evolving like animals into like man beasts and stuff, but he can't believe in the supernatural.
Yeah, he can't believe in a werewolf
No.
but he actually created like a dog man and
exactly.
a few months before this happened. Like, yeah, it's so funny.
If nothing else, shouldn't he be like, oh, the supernatural is just science we don't understand yet?
Exactly. Yeah. Who would have thought, oh, well, there's legends of werewolves and vampires and things in this region for years. There must be a scientific cause for all of it that people just misattributed to something that was mythological or supernatural.
Well, I think it's ego too, because I forget if it was this issue or not, but there was one where he's just like, oh, it can't be anyone evolving animals like I do. They didn't read the scrolls like I did.
No, yeah.
So it's like,
yeah,
oh, no one
they can't do it as good as I do.
Exactly.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when at the end, after he traps the werewolf, and then the moloids are taking their half-eaten compatriot away, he's just kind of watching them, and and then they're gone. That's it. Like
Yeah,
that's,
it's like, yeah, because he even says even before that, he's like, yeah, less and less of them are showing up because they pretty much know their job's done. And I think it said in a previous issue, yeah, that's all they're pretty much mindless. That's all they live for is like the tasks and the work and stuff.
yeah. When the work's done, they leave and find more work to do. They're like ants. Yeah, but when one of them starts getting eaten by a werewolf, then they kind of take off and do something else too.
All they live for is to work and task and to have no personal thoughts of their own. Amazon says, where can we find these people?
Exactly. We've got a warehouse just for you.
No. I'm just kidding. Amazon, we would love for you to sponsor us and we would love your money.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yep. We give you words. You give us money.
Join our Patreon, Amazon. Please.
Oh, yes. Oh, please. Every episode of every show I do, I'd be like, and our Patreon, sponsored by Amazon.
Sponsored by Amazon. I love it.
That was great, people. All right.
The benefactors of the human race, Amazon. What did you think of this annual film?
I like it. Again, Spider-Man, one of my favorite characters. I love Spider-Man and Daredevil team. Well, two of my favorite characters. I always love ups and stuff. And again, I thought the Speedball stuff was good, especially for a first introduction. And it's so weird. It's like the High Evolutionary has plans, but then in some of these issues, like this one and the Punisher, he's basically just letting the Purifiers run around. It doesn't even seem like they're like part of his plan. He's just like, it's almost like, if I can learn something from them, just doing whatever they're doing, okay. But it's
yeah, it's almost like he gives them a target on the map and says, "Here's New York City. There's some drug dealers. Go," and just lets them do their own thing without any type of real strategy behind it.
I mean, it's like we made the analogy of Nazis, and it's just like, even if the High Evolutionary could make the world a better place, he's doing it off the back of Nazi work here.
Yeah, exactly. The whole superior genetics thing is gross. Yeah. I don't like any of that stuff.
And as we see, even just trying to get rid of drugs, which on its own would be a good thing, well, most drugs, it would be a good thing, but you got that power vacuum, and and then all these criminals just fighting, it's like, who took my drugs?
As we'll see in the next Spider-Man annual,
yes,
that's part of the Evolutionary War. That's a perfect example of that.
Yes, that'll be next episode. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Should we get to the Fantastic Four annual?
Yeah. I love this one, actually. This is one of my favorite entries in the Evolutionary War. I love this one.
Yes. And yes, kids, this is at a time when Reed and Sue are off with Franklin. So yes, Ben Grimm's running the show with Miss Marvel and Johnny and Crystal.
Although Miss Marvel has also undergone her own transformation at this point.
Yeah, again and again, in another thing of their mental health probably not the best. Yeah, I mean, we kind of, what was it? Was it in the Thing series? She gets raped by the Power Broker's men.
Power Broker, yeah.
Then she shows up in a few issues of Captain America, and then she joins Ben's Fantastic Four and gets mutated into a thing. So she was having issues. She was having issues with being a woman and everything, and then gets mutated. So I'm sure that's probably not the best for your mental health either.
Yeah, she went through a lot. Sharon Ventura went through a lot as a member of the Fantastic Four. Yeah. And a lot before that, just before that, like you mentioned. But yeah, during her time with that team, it was quite a roller coaster ride for her. Yeah.
All right, so Fantastic Four Annual 21. Oh my. Crystal Blue Persuasion. Writer Steve Englehart. Penciler Kieron Dwyer. Inker Joe Sinnott. Colorist Gregory Wright. Friend of a friend, Gregory Wright. Letterer Ken Lopez. And editor Ralph Macchio. The Fantastic Four have returned to the Four Freedoms Plaza for a brief rest after their exploration into the mystery of the Beyonders. Because again, kids, this takes place between FF 317 and 318. So, On, I just love how she doesn't appear here, but they mention Alicia and like Johnny tried to remain faithful to his wife. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, ouch about that. Yeah, because Johnny had the huts for Crystal at this point.
So his old feelings for Crystal were resurfacing while he's married.
Yeah.
I can't do that to Alicia. She wouldn't betray me.
Ouch. Yeah, and Steve Englehart loved his romantic triangles.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of those. Yeah, I love that.
On their way in, they bump into the Fantastic Four's old mailman, Willie Lumpkin, on another mail delivery.
Willie.
After a warm reunion, Willie Lumpkin, the only man to survive dating Aunt May.
Yeah. Legend status.
After a warm reunion, Willie departs to continue his deliveries. Ben then reports into their receptionist, Roberta, to update her on the team's current mission. He explains that while they were searching for the Mole Man, they discovered a series of warps where they found themselves transported into limbo, where they fought Belasco, then the land within of the cat people, before ultimately being transported to the alien world of Arcturus 4. Yeah, kids, I think that was like, what was that? Fantastic Four is like 314 or 313, either 313 or 314 through 317. So, there they thought they were trapped with the villain known as Master Pandemonium until they were rescued by Comet Man and his friend Max. It turned out there was a transporter that teleported them back to Earth in the frozen wastelands of the former Savage Land. Oh, man, we're going to talk a lot of Savage Land next time, kids.
Yes.
Now, in order to learn how the Beyonders are all tied into it, they're heading into the negative zone. When Roberta asks if she should contact the Fantastic Four's former leader, Reed Richards, Ben tells her not to because they are doing fine without him on this adventure. The group then splits up to enjoy some rest and relaxation before continuing on their quest. Oh, this is the funniest. Drawing a hot bath, the Thing soaks in the water and reflects on how he and Sharon are finally in the relationship that he always wanted from her, and that it took her transformation into a she thing that helped bring them closer together. Yes, kids, he's washing his rocks in the bath.
And overflowing that thing.
When he considers recent events, Ben begins to believe that Johnny and Alicia getting married was the best thing that could have happened to him. Ugh.
Ouch.
Meanwhile, the real Alicia is still up there in stasis somewhere. In another bathroom, Sharon is taking a bath as well, and her feelings about the subject mirror those of Ben's. While in another shower, Johnny is deciding that after their mission in the negative zone, he plans on quitting the Fantastic Four because of his conflicted feelings for Crystal, and he needs to remain faithful to his wife, Alicia.
Don't quit. Don't quit, Johnny.
Hey, baby, you're a little baby man. What?
I don't know what that's about.
Crystal's thoughts are on those issues as well, thinking of how if the Inhuman law did not protect the sanctity of marriage, she would have been divorced from Pietro long ago. Crystal's thoughts are quickly interrupted by the arrival of her daughter Luna and her nanny Maya.
Oh, the nanny that survived.
Yes, the nanny that survived. After spending time with her daughter, Crystal meets up with the rest of the Fantastic Four outside of Reed's old lab. Before they can open it up, a holographic image of Medusa and Black Bolt appear before them. Medusa tells her sister that Quicksilver's mind has been healed and that she is being ordered to return to her people. She explains that Pietro recently lost his powers and has decided to forgive his wife and ask her to come back. This infuriates Crystal, who is fed up with the royal family dictating the direction of her life and refuses to go back to Atalan. With this act of defiance, Black Bolt has Medusa tell her that they will be coming down to physically return her to the moon. When the Inhuman royal family teleports down to the Four Freedoms Plaza with Lockjaw, Medusa once again demands that Crystal return with them. Crystal refuses, and when her sister tries to restrain her, fights back. This leads to a clash between the Fantastic Four and the Inhumans. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the moon, the High Evolutionary and his gatherers have teleported onto the surface. He orders his gatherers to attack Atalan and gather a sample of the Terrigen mist for him to examine. As he watches his minions fly toward the city, the High Evolutionary suddenly senses a presence behind him. He turns and is surprised to see the Earth's Watcher standing before him. The Watcher informs the Evolutionary that he has come to watch, and he has been watching the geneticist's recent exploits. Oh, this is funny when the Watcher basically sums up the whole Evolutionary War up to this point, kids.
Yeah. If you've fallen behind, he sums it up for you very nicely.
Exactly. Attempting to call the Moloid population, the X Factor Annual, an attempt to destroy gene-altering drugs, the Punisher Annual, enlisting the aid of the Eternals to get a sample of the Silver Surfer's DNA, the Silver Surfer Annual, his examination of the mutant known as Mirage, the New Mutants Annual. It says Mirage, but wasn't it Magma?
Well, yeah, it was Magma first, and then Mirage kind of got thrown onto the platform, onto the device. Yeah. The Watcher, first it was Magma.
Yeah. The Watcher also tells of the escalating drug war that has resulted from the Evolutionary's tampering. When the High Evolutionary asks if the Watcher intends to interfere with his plans, Uatu reiterates that his goal is only to watch. Not far away on Adelan, the Inhumans try their best to ward off the Gatherer's attack. Joining them is Quicksilver, who, although no longer having his speed power, is leading the army in the battle. Wait, what's this? Is it Atalan or Adelan?
I always pronounce it Adelan, yeah.
Potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just wherever the syllable is in that made up word. Yes. Back on Earth, the Fantastic Four and the Inhuman royal family are still fighting it out. Although Lockjaw is loyal to the family, this quickly changes when Karnak gets close enough to Crystal to knock her out. Lockjaw then quickly turns on everyone, protecting Crystal from anyone who tries to get too close. I also like how the Watcher keeps track of the drugs on Earth. He keeps track of everything. The ultimate voyeur. Again, he's our recap machine.
That's right. He sums it up very nicely if you missed an issue or two.
Big drug thing going on. Did you miss that Punisher and Amazing Spider-Man annuals? I can look at the camera and be like, that's in all the annuals this year.
Right. Check out the rest of the Evolutionary War for all the details.
He likes drugs. That's right, man. He gets high. He gets high and watches everything.
Yeah.
How funny would that be if he's not even seeing alternate universes? He just gets high and just
exactly. He's creating these multiverses with the munchies.
We'll get to that in our last episode of Evolutionary War when we cover the What If Angle.
Yes.
The battle rages on with both sides still equally matched, prompting Black Bolt to call an end to the fighting. As they continue to argue over Crystal's place, they are interrupted by the appearance of Phantom Mask, an Inhuman beaming in her holographic image to Earth. When Phantom Mask warns the Royals about the attack on Adelan, Crystal decides that it is time to return home to help her people. Although Johnny protests this idea, Sharon tells him that it's ultimately her choice. The Fantastic Four agree to go along with the Inhumans back to Adelan to help fight back the Gatherers. With the added might of the Fantastic Four and the Inhuman royal family, Quicksilver and his army are able to turn the course of the battle. No match for the added force, the Gatherers retreat to tell their master to retreat to their master empty-handed. After they report in, the High Evolutionary grudgingly teleports himself and his minions away, giving the Watcher a dirty look as he leaves.
Give him the stink eye.
Spotting the Watcher observing from above, the Fantastic Four decide to try and get answers from him. However, the Watcher insists that all he does is watch. When Ben reminds him of all the times he has helped in the past, the Watcher still insists that he only watches. Suddenly, the FF become aware of another Watcher who offers to tell them what was going on. However, before this new Watcher can say anything, Uatu steps in and tells him that they only observe and teleports away, telling Ben that he is forced to watch from a greater distance now. All right, Noel, here we go. In another episode of We Should. Yes, at some point we should cover that whole Aaron the Watcher thing from those Fantastic Four issues.
Yes. I love that one with the. I think that culminates in one with the holographic cover or something, doesn't it?
Now, I don't think, but eventually he like clones his own Fantastic Four, so they're fighting like evil versions of themselves.
Yes, yes, I love that storyline.
He hasn't been like suspended animation for a while, so that each of them is like dreaming something different. So it's almost like what if issues for like a couple issues there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always love the Aaron the Rogue Watcher stuff. It's good
Yes.
stuff.
Oh no,
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, there's like that early appearances. Then I think he comes back. Wasn't it around 375 or something? That might be the cover
Yeah,
you're talking about.
yeah, I think it was one of those because they thought that he was Uatu, but then
Yeah,
turns out to be
yeah.
Aaron in his.
Oh, maybe closer to 400, maybe. Yeah.
That's I think that's I'm getting it mixed up with 400. Yeah,
Because it might be were those. Yeah, I think those might be Englehart or it might be someone else, right? The early Aaron stuff, and then like later on during the Falco run, where he brings them back.
Yes, he brings it back. Yeah. Yep.
No, you 109% sure.
Those are both great stories. Yeah, we should cover those. Yeah.
With the battle over, Black Bolt requests a private audience with his cousin and takes her out past Adelan, where the air of the blue area is thin. There he is able to say one word, stay, without the full force of his powers, even though he does still send her flying.
Yeah.
This is still powerful enough to cause a massive sonic boom that sends Crystal tumbling across the lunar surface. When Crystal asks why she should stay, Black Bolt writes the word family in the dust. Oh God, he's a Fast and Furious fan, just like Little Hellfire. When he later brings back Crystal with the others, she announces to the team that she is leaving the Fantastic Four to return to her people and her husband, and asks them to tell her how the rest of their adventure will go. While Johnny feels heartbreak for losing Crystal a second time, Ben is perplexed by the whole turn of events, while Sharon finds Crystal's decision both brave and sad. All right, so what you think, Justin?
I love this one. I love the conversation between the High Evolutionary and Uatu. I thought that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that we get the first. I think this is the first appearance of Aaron, the Rogue Watcher, right?
Oh, it might be. Yeah.
Yeah. I really liked that angle on it. I always loved seeing Adelan in the Inhumans. I feel like up to this point in time, we didn't really see a lot of them. They didn't appear a whole lot. So it's nice to see them, especially repelling the onslaught of the High Evolutionaries' forces. It's like, yeah, you kind of picked the wrong city to mess with. High Evolutionary. Everybody up here has powers. Like it's not like down on Earth where like 1 in 1,000 has powers. Like 1 in like 2 people have powers up here.
You want some genetic samples, man?
That's true. But the fight was great. I loved seeing the Fantastic Four and the Inhumans get into a fight first and kind of continue the fight afterwards after the High Evolutionaries forces were defeated, because then we get that great part where Lockjaw's got his muzzle clamped around one of Ben's fists and he won't let go. But as soon as he sees somebody hurt Crystal, then then forget about it. Then he gets mad.
Oh no, they might have been good after Sharon, and Ben just like hits Lockjaw in the nose or something.
Yeah, and he still won't let go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Lockjaw is all protective of Crystal. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing at like maximum strength too. Like I think he was class 100 with this second mutation, class 100 level strength. So he was definitely hitting Lockjaw with enough force to make him loosen his grip, but he didn't anyway. That dog just kept muckled on. But yeah, as soon as he saw Crystal get knocked out by Karnak, then he moved to her defense really quick. I love that part too. I always love seeing how protective of Crystal Lockjaw is. It was always a sweet, endearing piece of the Inhumans history.
Oh man, I'm looking at the summary for the backup story. This wasn't on the app. I don't know why it wasn't. The Speedball backup story was on the app. This Crystal backup story wasn't on the app.
Yeah, I think weren't there a couple of backups in this one?
I don't
Or
know.
maybe there were a bunch of pinups and stuff,
It
posters
might have
and
been
things.
pinup. So I think it was this one
Yeah.
and then the High Evolutionary origin.
Mhm.
But no, I'm all upset, man, because Quicksilver explains to Crystal. I remember this. He's like, "Oh no, Maximus was controlling me, but then the creature pretending to be Hank Pym's wife possessed me and it created a mental block that took my speed and broke Maximus's hold."
Yeah, that was in the West Coast Avengers story, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Journey into Mystery or whatever. Yeah, Quicksilver had gone through quite a bit just before this happened.
And
Yeah,
then
but it would have made sense to people reading this annual for the first time to follow up with that backup and be like, okay, well this
yeah.
this makes sense. This is what Pietro and Crystal's relationship was like this. And yeah.
And this leads directly in the Fantastic Four 318 because then Quicksilver goes and calls Doctor Doom, who shows up in Fantastic Four 318 because he wants to go into the negative zone with the Fantastic Four.
Right. Yeah. Going after it. Yeah. Yeah, that would have made so much more sense to have that backup on the app. Yeah, if you're listening, Marvel, fix that.
I just don't know why some of the annuals have the backups and some don't. Because it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, the elf thing, I get why it's not on the app, but it's like you own all these characters in this story: the Inhumans, Doctor Doom, Quicksilver. Why is
Yeah.
this backup not in there?
Yeah, why are some of them in there and some aren't? It doesn't make sense.
Because your interns are getting lazy, Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I want that job. Just I'll sit here and
I
scan
know.
comics in all day.
Me too, absolutely.
Can you imagine? Oh my lord.
Yeah, don't even have to pay me a lot. Just whatever, I'll do it for beans.
I do it for comics.
Yeah, what did you think of this one, Phil? This
I
annual?
I liked it. Like I said, I fondly remember this era of Fantastic Four, and again, I love when the annuals fit into the continuity, and you know exactly where. And
Yeah, it was after this that I thought I wasn't really into it because
well, again,
with
until
with
Reed and Sue come back in 326, so it's like from like 318 through 325. It's two things and a Human Torch. That's
two things in a Human Torch, exactly. Yeah, and I just wasn't into that. I just thought, well, this is kind of redundant, and this isn't the Fantastic Four to me. Like, it doesn't feel like it to me. This feels like, yeah, two things and a torch, and it's strange. But before that, like when Crystal was with the group, I felt like there was at least enough of a variety there.
exactly. I mean, and again, they never try to replace her before Reed and Sue come back, but I don't know, maybe because like they were like not too long that after the negative zone thing, they jump into Inferno, and
Right.
then there's like a whole thing with like Kang and Mantis and Silver Surfer.
Big old tangled web there.
Mm-hmm.
But also, reading this now, like Crystal didn't actually stay with the royal family for very long, because it was like, what, 2 or 3 years later that she joined the Avengers and was a regular member of that team for 3 or 4 years straight.
Yeah,
So all this stuff that they went through in this annual to get her to stay with the Inhuman royal family only lasted a couple of years anyway, and then she got bored and decided to join the Avengers.
I think I'm trying to remember that Avengers stuff. I think it might have been like, oh, the royal family finally saw what a whack job Quicksilver is, so they finally granted me a divorce or whatever.
Like, no, you were right the whole time. Quicksilver sucks.
Well, they probably caught him.
You got your divorce.
They probably caught him working with Doom or something.
Yeah, he was doing well.
Who was looking for any weapon at the time, because this is when Doom was at war with Kristoff.
That's right. Yeah. He was doing something shady at this time. Quicksilver was.
Yeah.
And
Oh my! We're gonna have to.
Right.
Oh my god! We're gonna have to do a couple episodes on Kristoff. That is so funny.
Yes.
Doom created. Okay, kids. Doom created a scenario where he, in the event of his death, where his body did get killed and he mind jumped into another body, but where his robots would put the copy of his brain into. They put the copy of his brain in a kid.
Yes. Like a 7 or 8-year-old kid from Latveria. Yeah.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden he's at war with this like 8-year-old kid who has the brain of Dr. Doom.
Who thinks he's Doom. He
Yes.
thinks he's the real Doom, and he's got his own suit of armor. And yeah, he kicks the real Doom out on his butt.
And the brainwaves are like so similar, for the longest time, where like the Doom bots can't even differentiate.
Yeah, the Doom bots don't know the difference either. Yeah, so they think Christoph is the real Doom, and they go into action as accordingly.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
wild.
That seems kind of far fetched to me. Shouldn't you be like, oh well, the real Doom is the guy? I'm sure his DNA is on found. It's like, yeah, the one in the adult body is probably Victor Von Doom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I remember one issue the Doom bots were just like, well, the Master has jumped bodies before, so.
Right, yeah. They look at each other and kind of scratch their heads like, what do we do this time? Well, I don't know.
Oh yeah, but there is that John Byrne story where the Beyonder basically has to put Doom back, bring back Doom's original body and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. We could cover that one too.
Yeah.
And there was a great Fantastic Four annual that took place during that time where Doom captured Franklin.
Yes.
And he was going to sacrifice him to Mephisto.
I did see that. I think that was the year before this one, because when I was going on the app, I saw that one right before. I'm like, oh yeah, we need to cover that.
Yeah, I love that one. And that was when Christoph was. I think that even might have been the one where Christoph took control of Latveria and booted Doom out.
Yeah, he might have.
I think it was around that. Yeah,
because he was like locked up in Four Freedoms Plaza, and then I think he escapes in that annual. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's a good one.
All right. So, should we get to the other origin of the High Evolutionary?
the misplaced one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So jumping back to the Amazing Spider-Man annual for that backup, kids. Yeah, I'm on the right one. All right. So, hold on. The High Evolutionary. Wait, no. All right.
Doing some more animal torture.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Kindred Spirits. March 1932, at the base of Wundagore Mountain, the High Evolutionary conducts another experiment in enhancing the evolution of an animal. He selects an ordinary cow and transforms it into a humanoid creature he names Bova. He clothes the creature and ushers it through his facility, promising it will grow accustomed to its new life and will be educated in the ways of man. Afterwards, the evolutionary decides to check in on Gregor Russoff, the werewolf that has been his guest. A Russell by any other name. Jack Russell by any other name. The phases of the moon are such that he may have reverted back to human form. He thinks about how Russoff came into his care and how he believes that his curse of lycanthropy is of supernatural origin. The evolutionary finds this hard to believe and seeks to find a scientific means of curing him. He begins thinking of a means of extracting a gene sample during Russoff's transformation. His thoughts are interrupted by the arrival of Jonathan Drew, at least that's who he thinks he is. Drew tries to convince the evolutionary that he is the vessel for the spirit of Magnus, a sorcerer from the Middle Ages. He explains how he was a disciple of the sorceress Morgan Le Fay and how they studied the Darkhold, a collection of all of Earth's black magic. Using their mystical skills, Morgan's coven summoned the elder demon known as Chthon. However, the elder demon proved too powerful for them to control, and they were forced to trap Chthon's essence within Wundagore Mountain. Believing the Darkhold to be too dangerous in the hands of others, Magnus stole the book and hid it in a monastery tower. In retaliation for this betrayal, Morgan Le Fay killed Magnus. However, his soul endured for centuries, eventually taking possession of Herbert Wyndham's former partner, Jonathan Drew. Magnus tries to warn Herbert that he needs to leave Wundagore lest he waken Chthon. The High Evolutionary scoffs at all of this, telling Magnus that he's a man of science and believes in no such thing as demons. However, deep within the bowels of Mount Wundagore, the essence of Chthon hears this and begins to bellow with laughter. The greatest maniacal laugh in fiction.
Absolutely.
So yeah, once again, the man who just evolved a cow into a cow woman, finding werewolves and ancient spirits hard to believe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and covens that worship a demonic book.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's so weird coming from a guy that just made a cow woman. Yeah.
A demon trapped in the mountain, preposterous.
But how about that Ron Lim artwork? It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was always one of my favorite teams. Well, especially on Captain America, Mark Grunwald and then Ron Lim on art. Yeah.
Yeah. What a great team. Yeah. And he was always great on Silver Surfer too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a Ron Lim story, but yeah. Oh, remember we said we might cover Acts of Vengeance? There's
Oh yeah.
a cap and a possessed Namor fighting there, don't you?
There is, yeah. I love that one. And Ron Lim takes over right after that, actually, because that's I think it was when the controller fights Captain America. I feel like that was a Ron Lim story, maybe not.
There might have been like one.
Or maybe he was doing the covers then.
Maybe, or there might have been one issue was Ron Lim and one was it Kieran? Kieran?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it might have been they were switching, but yeah.
Going back and forth, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say if we do Acts of Vengeance instead of doing like annuals for the summer, we might just have to do Acts of Vengeance all summer.
All summer long. It would take us like 2 or 3 months to cover the whole thing.
So we have a hard decision to make. Maybe do some Atlantis attacks and something, and more and different annual events, or just do Acts of Vengeance all summer.
Yeah, we do have to make a choice.
Maybe when we're done tonight, I'll look up, see how many parts Acts of Vengeance is, and it's gonna be a doozy, kids.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know it's a lot.
Again, everyone's book got 2 or 3 issues.
And it was for a couple of months too. It wasn't just 1 month.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think it was like 3 months. So everyone at least got 3 issues during Acts of Vengeance. And then Spider-Man had like 3 books at the time. So
yeah, so 6 or 8, yeah. All the Avengers ones, yeah. Oh man.
Moon Knight, did the Punisher have some?
Punisher had some.
Had
Daredevil had some.
Oh yeah.
Daredevil fought Ultron.
Ultron, yeah, he got 2 issues. Ultron, yes.
That was a weird one.
Quasar,
Absorbing Man, yeah.
Oh yeah. The Absorbing Man, and then the next issue he fought Red Ghost on the moon.
Red Ghost, that's right.
Oh, what was it? Issue 5. He wraps up Venom in like the first 2 pages. Venom like escapes the vault. He just wraps him up and brings him back.
Why does Spider-Man have such a tough time with this guy? He was a piece of cake.
He was like quantum webbing. Which kids brought us this drop, which Lilith Hellfire cut up herself?
Sparkly quantum tentacles.
I love that.
Yes. All right. So, anything else, Justin?
No, I think that wraps us up pretty good. Yeah, both of these annuals I love. These were, like you said, the Evolutionary War definitely picks up the pace a little bit here.
The beginning wasn't bad, but it's getting better as time goes on, even so.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, kids. So yes, next episode, we might have had it. I don't know if we talked about it before, but yes, we shuffled some things around because next time I know we did say we were going to do X-Men Annual 12 and Web of Spider-Man Annual 4, but we're also going to add West Coast Avengers Annual 3 to Part 4. Because then the final week for Part 5, we'll do Spectacular Spider-Man Annual 8, Avengers Annual 17, and What If Volume 2, Number 1. What if the Avengers lost the Evolutionary War?
Yeah. That way we aren't doing four issues for the last episode. Yeah,
we'll do 3 and 3, kids, next 2 weeks. Yeah. And then remember, kids, in July we're doing Captain America for most of the month.
Yes.
Well, for the first 3 weeks, and then week 4 we're going to do the first 4 issues of New Warriors. So yes,
Warriors.
Speedball will be back at the end of July, kids. So it's
going to be a fun summer over at Marvel Tales.
Yes. Yes. And then August we'll get back to more annuals. The Terminus Factor will be
The
2
Terminus Factor.
Oh yes, and then we're after that we're going to be doing a crossover with Gamma Charge.
That's right. Gamma Charge and Marvel Tales will be doing not one but 2 crossovers this summer.
Yes.
We're going to be covering Life Forms and Return of the Defenders back to back.
That's right. And so since the Hulk annuals happen perfectly, yes. The first one I think will be part 1, and then for the second crossover will be part 2. So
yeah, I'm excited for that. It's going to be so much fun.
So you should always be, but if you're not, start listening to both shows.
That's right. If not, it's a perfect time to jump on. But
exactly,
listen to both.
And where can you find those? Well, stay tuned in a few minutes, kids.
That's right.
All right. So send us all your thoughts on our summer of fun here. Email us CapesandLunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find all things Capes and Lunatics, episodes, social media, merchandise, and the Patreon. Again, join the Patreon elite like Justin here.
Yes, join me in the elite. You get all the bonus episodes, all the perks, all the good stuff every month.
Again, you can hear Love Hellfire go wild on Heroes Reborn. So
that's right. It has begun.
So stay tuned for that, kids. All right. So find everything at tubespace.io/CapesandLunatics Podcast Network. That's tubespace.io/CapesandLunatics Podcast Network. All right. Justin, as I said, you join me here every week. At the last week of every month, you were on We Are the Night.
the Batman podcast, where we're covering As-Bats currently and having a grand time of it.
Eventually we'll get to Azrael, because
we're
too good for it. But but yes, like we said, you also do other shows, including the aforementioned Gamma Charge. So
Gamma Charge. Yeah, on Gamma Charge, the strongest podcast there is, Russell and I talk about the Hulk twice a month. And we also have a Patreon where we do bonus episodes as well. The most recent one, we covered one of DC's attempts to create their own version of the Hulk called Loose Cannon, which appeared in an Action Comics annual 30 years ago. That was fun. But besides Gamma Charge, we also co-host with the High Priest of Khonshu Ray, a show called Predator and Prey, a Yocha podcast, where we talk about everything to do with Fox's Predator in comics, film, action figures, and more. And I also have a project which is almost done that I've been talking about for the last year and a half called The Lost Library of Legends, in which I will be talking about undiscovered and lost comic book gems of the last 30 to 40 years. Scream at! And doing a lot of that, too. Tapping my way downtown.
Well, that escalated quickly.
And again, kids, do me 2 favors. Listen to all those shows that Justin just mentioned. And 2, write in the Predator and Prey and demand a Predator and Batman crossover with We Are the Night and their show. So
we can do Batman and Predator. We can cover all of those.
Because at least 2 of the 3 hosts are down for it. So we need to convince that last host who's trying to bat block us. So yeah, kids. Please write in the Predator and Prey, everyone. Demand that Batman Predator crossover.
Batman.
Put that on the schedule.
Favorite character. Into the dark tonight, all to do with Batman.
For some reason, Batman's #1 fan is not having it. So yes, write and convince him, kids. I want a flood of emails, and I'd say snail mail, but it would probably take 6 years to get there.
Yeah, blow up the Predator and Prey Discord with a request for that to add that to the schedule.
Young Finn, please tell your father. Yes, I want to hear Batman Predator stories. Oh, okay, Kieran. Now you corrupted my son with your bat nonsense. All right, kids. Thank you for joining us again. Yes, next week, get not 1, not 2, but 3 Evolutionary War issues. X-Men,
and they're all excellent.
X-Men, Web of Spider-Man, and West Coast Avengers. So you Get 3 big franchises next week.
Yes. It's a trifecta.
Again, only 2 more weeks of Evolutionary War, kids.
Yeah. Send in your thoughts, or send in the thoughts about the stuff we've already covered too, if you want.
Exactly. Until then, watch that first step off the Empire State Building.
That's right. It's a doozy.